Hello, my loves. I have a really wonderful lesson to share with you today. So let's dive right in. Today's objectives are that you will understand the RAFTS method of prompt analysis, and you'll also get a chance to practice some independent note taking. Your follow up work, the tasks formerly known as homework, are the RAFTS and note taking exit ticket, and as always, your reading log. Both of those are due tonight at 11:59 p.m. Our agenda is that we will start by learning some basic note taking strategies. I have some slides for you, and then there's some videos on your own. You have to watch the first one, the other two are just for fun. And then we're actually going to use one of those note taking styles to take some notes. Before we begin, though, what are notes? All the time I see students just writing down as fast as they can exactly everything that the teacher is saying, or trying to copy down exactly what the slide says. No, what a waste of your time. If we wanted you to take us word for word, we would just record it. If we wanted you to have the slide, we'd print it out for you. Instead, notes are when you take in the relevant information in your own words. It's going to provide study material that's quicker than rewatching a whole lecture, and it's also going to actually help you build meaning in your own brain. So there are two major note-taking styles. The video you're about to watch will say there's three, but I disagree. So let's talk about them one at a time. The major note-taking styles are outline style, mapping method, and then Cornell notes. I disagree that Cornell notes is a note-taking style. I think it's really more a way of organizing and reviewing the notes that you create. It does help you make meaning of your notes, though. If you take a look at this image of Cornell notes on the side, you see that the largest portion of that space, the part where it says notes, is just notes, any kind of notes. What makes this Cornell method is the left-hand column where it says cues and the bottom where it says summary. You'll get a chance to learn about that in the video that's coming up. Before we dive into that, though, let's talk about outline style and then mind mapping. Outline style distinguishes between topics and subtopics and examples by using indents. Indenting is when you press the little tab button on your computer, it pushes everything over a little bit. So if you look at this example on the side, you see that Shakespeare is the main topic. And right under Shakespeare, there's a bullet point, playwright. And if you look directly down, you see that the next bullet point that's at that same level of indentation is English. He's from England. So we have two big topics about Shakespeare, that he's a playwright and that he was English. He's from England. As the playwright topic, we have the subtopics of how many plays he wrote, and then comedies and examples of those. Histories, those are another subtopic, so on the same level as comedies, but there are two types of histories. There's English and Roman histories. Then there's the tragedies. This is ultimately not a lesson about Shakespeare, although this is interesting information. What I want you to see is that the information is moved over from left to right, is how vague to specific. The history about King John is extremely specific, whereas the idea that Shakespeare's a playwright is significantly less specific. Now, with mind mapping, you say the exact same information. Shakespeare wrote three big types of plays: comedies, histories, tragedies. But mind mapping is going to show relationships between ideas with lines instead of indents. This is really good for your visual thinkers. Now, I want you to actually pause this video. Let me finish the instructions first. You must watch this crash course video. Fun fact, Crash Course was started by John Green, the same guy who wrote The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska and Paper Towns. So what you'll do is you'll watch this video, and this is the part where they're going to disagree with me, and that's okay. They're going to say that Cornell notes is a style of note-taking. I think it's a style of reviewing, whatever. Ultimately, I want you to watch this and really understand it, because when you come back, you're going to use those note-taking methods. So you'll watch that. That is required. The next two videos are just for fun. If you would like to watch this lovely set of videos, this first one is a little bit more practical. It has some ideas for especially outline style note taking and how not just to make it useful, but also cute. This third video is really just how to make it cute. I really enjoyed watching it, and honestly, even if you are not into making your stuff look cute, it was really relaxing to watch. So maybe you can watch it if you're just stressed out and you need a couple minutes to just watch a nice lady write some pretty lines on the page. Check it out, it's a delight. But if you don't, no big deal. The one that is required is the first one, the one that says required, and it's about taking notes. So go ahead and watch 1, 2, or 3 of those videos and then come back. Welcome back! In my video that doesn't have a pause, in your life that does have a pause, if you didn't pause, and this is weird that I'm saying welcome back, pause, go watch those videos and then come back. So I have this pretty image at the side. It's a picture of a raft on a lovely river. How relaxing. Are we gonna learn about outdoors? No, it's not a boat. RAFTS is an acronym. It's a method for turning an assignment or a writing prompt into action steps. It puts some work up front so that ultimately it's easier for you to do the work in the end. It's easier to know what to do. It's easier to check your work. This is how you're gonna make a to-do list out of a paragraph description of what you need to write. So what does RAFTS represent? By the way, if you're not taking notes, pause, rewind a little bit, start taking notes. You should be using Cornell style notes with either mind mapping or outline style notes in the notes space of your notebook. So RAFTS represents role, audience, format, your to-do list, and strong words. I have a slide for each of those. So these are going to be your subtopics divided into further information about the subtopic with examples. So what is role? Role is going to tell who is writing whatever it is. And I say writing, but really this means creating, because this could be a TV show. This could be an artwork. It could be a photograph. Ultimately, though, the role is going to say who's doing the writing. Is it me? Is it me, Mrs. Agnello, a 30-something-year-old teacher in Los Angeles? Or am I Hermione, writing in my journal about how Snape is a mean duty head? Am I me, an 8th grader at Kipple Prep in the midst of a global pandemic? Or am I a British soldier fighting in the American Revolution? This is going to tell you who's doing the creating. The audience is who's going to do the receiving, who's going to read it, who's going to listen to it, watch it, enjoy it, look at it. And this could be real or fictional. A real audience, you have that almost every day in your classes. Your book talks in homeroom are a real audience. And the way you craft those is for your audience. You're making those for other 8th graders. You're not making those for 5-year-olds. You certainly wouldn't talk about the kind of book you read to a 5-year-old. You'd talk about, I don't know, Go Spot Go or kids' books, and you'd use really nice words and you'd probably say it kindly. It's very uncomfortable. Fictional audiences are when maybe you're writing to Harry Potter and you're giving him advice on how to study in school and how not to get in trouble with all of his teachers all of the time. Or maybe your audience is a newspaper reading, right? So maybe your role is that you are a journalist covering a topic in the media. And your audience, who's going to be reading it, is LA Times readers. Or maybe it's for any other kind of audience. Anyway, the goal here is that you are thinking about who's going to be reading this so that you are using your best understanding of them to make your story better for them. You're going to use the right words that fit for them, the right ideas that make sense for them. The next letter in RAFTS is F. It stands for format, not fudge or forget about it, as we say where I'm from. No, this is going to tell you what type of writing this is. There are three major types of writing. There's narrative or kind of creative writing. That's your stories, your poems. Then there's argument or persuasive writing, where you're trying to prove something with evidence. And that's the really important part, right, of argument, that it's evidentiary. Um, and then finally, there's expository or informational writing, where you're not trying to prove anything. You're just saying what happened. This is your summaries. This is your maybe some of your book talk. A lot of your book talk might be argument. It's going to be like, this book is so good because blah blah blah, and you should read it because blah blah blah. Where you're trying to convince somebody of something. Your to-do list is the things that you need to do in order to get a good grade. This is going to be the stuff that's on the rubric, the stuff that the teacher is looking for. This is your checklist. Ever since I started teaching RAFTS, I have watched students not getting credit for this, not being told to do this, on their own doing this part of RAFTS. They do this on the SBAC. I've watched it for years now. I do this personally when I have to write something. Like when I helped our school to become a National Blue Ribbon school, I had to write a huge application for our school. I made a to-do list. It was really helpful because that was such a big deal. It was about 80 or 90 pages of writing. And if I didn't have a to-do list, I was definitely going to get lost. And last but not least, the strong words. These are the words from the assignment that you should include in your writing. These are not descriptions of the assignment or the requirements. You're not going to include like the word evidence or the word thesis or the information, right? You're not going to use those words that tell you what type of writing you're doing. You're going to use words like theme, right? Let's say you're writing an essay about the theme of The Outsiders. Well, you would say the theme of The Outsiders is yada, 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 because the characters do X, Y, and Z. You wouldn't say, my thesis is that the theme of The Outsider, right? You'd leave out the word thesis. That would be silly to include that. The strong words, though, are so that you're kind of showing your reader that what they're looking for. This is really going to help them to know what you're talking about. And it's going to help you to get points on your assignments. So I have, before we get to the exit ticket, come on, Agnella, relax. I have my notes. I actually used Cornell Notes method. And then I used kind of an altered outline version within the Cornell Notes to take notes on RAFTS. What I want you to see is that I added a lot of information to these notes that is not on the slides, but I put it in my own words, which is weird because I made the slides, but you get the point, right? What you'll notice on this left-hand side of each is that I drew a big column. I literally drew a line in my notebook, right? So big old line. And this is the part where I'm putting the cues, the things that I'm gonna see if maybe that's a question that'll come up on a quiz. That's a winky face, meaning this is probably something that you'll see on your quiz. Maybe that top left-hand part of the slide, you'll see it. But what I want you to see here is that I put it in my own words. I made it mine. And I tried to use short words too. I didn't write out eighth for eighth grader. I wrote an 8 and a TH. I didn't write A means the audience. I wrote an equal sign because that's what that means, right? I'm going to try to use shorthand as much as possible so that I don't waste my time. And you are absolutely welcome to take a look at my notes. I'm happy to share these ideas with you. But what I want you to do after you feel comfortable, maybe go back and review this video, maybe go back and review these slides, check on your notes. I want you to do the exit ticket. It's on Google Classroom. It must be submitted by tonight, 11:59 p.m. There are two major parts. There's a multiple choice part where I need you to show integrity. It is on note-taking and RAFTS. So if you feel that you need to review your notes, which I would recommend, or rewatch this video or look at the slides again, do that now. I want you to show integrity on the multiple choice part because I want to know how well I taught you. I want to understand how much you got out of this. And then I also want you to write the summary from your RAFTS notes. So you used Cornell notes, so it should be at the bottom of your notes page. You saw that on mine. I covered it up with an orange Post-it so that you wouldn't see my summary, but it should be at the bottom. And I've also given you a couple suggested sentence stems here. You might say, like, as part of your summary, RAFTS could help me too, or RAFTS is a tool for, or I can use RAFTS too, because ultimately you're summarizing what you learned about RAFTS. As always, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if the internet explodes on you, safety first, and then contact me. If you need me, I'm here for you. Call, text, email, send me a carrier pigeon, do what you got to. I look forward to seeing your exit tickets and seeing how well you understood this lesson. We are going to be practicing this in class on Thursday. So do your best.